since we've formed our own company, Martin Ebert, in 2005, then we've gradually managed to advise more and more of those great links courses that host the British Open. So we now advise 7 of the 9 current open venues. So those include Turnberry, Royal Troon, where the Open's played this year, Royal St George's, Royal Lytham and St Anne's, Carnoustie, where else are we? Royal Portrush, which is so exciting with the 2 new holes that we're designing for the 2019 Open, and Royal Liverpool as well. So that's been fantastic to be involved with that level of golf course. I mean, these events, they have to host the very best players in the world. So we have to get it right for them, but we also have to make sure that it's good for the rest of every other day in between those major events, which come every 10 years or so to each of the courses. So we've got to get it right for that 99.9% of the time for general play. But in terms of who we've worked with in those years, I suppose at the moment probably the most famous one is Mr. Trump, Donald Trump. There he is, one step away from being the most powerful man in the world, they say. What an experience that's been working with him at Turnberry. He didn't know who I was until Peter Dawson, Chief Executive of the R&A, told him. He said, look, if you're going to do changes to Turnberry, then I would suggest you use Martin Ebert. I'd been working at Turnberry for a number of years, so he said, look, he's got a great knowledge of the course, and we use him, or he's worked on many of the open venues in the past. So that led to a phone call with Mr. Trump and a meeting. I remember that first day we met him, and he sat me down. He said, right, let's do the deal. And I managed to string it out a little bit and tried to make the job seem as big as it was, and it is a big job. So he came over last Friday for the grand opening, flew in the helicopter. He was delighted with everything that had been done at Turnberry. So that's been one of the world famous figures that I've met, I suppose. Darren Clark at Royal Portrush, we've been making the changes there, so it's his home club. Ryder Cup captain this year. We've got him hitting drives at one of the holes to see whether another bunker was needed, and as a result we said we put another one in. But again, he's been a delight to work with, and I think just watching him on the sideline, seeing how he handles his Ryder Cup duties, he's an extremely good speaker, and I think he'll be a great captain of the team come the Ryder Cup in September. Closest to my heart is one in Sri Lanka, of all places. My father was born in Sri Lanka. I'd never visited the island, and then the boss, Donald Steele, came along and he said, oh, we've got a commission in Sri Lanka. So I was off on the plane to the most amazing piece of ground, inland site, but it had mountains all around it. It was right by the Victoria Reservoir. So that was a special one. We had another one, again, working for Donald Steele and Company, which was up in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, America. We were given 13,000 acres. Now let me see, in hectares, that's 5,000 hectares, more than 5,000 hectares. Generally you need for a golf course, as you probably know, about 100 hectares, something like that. This was 5,000. So we spent a whole day driving around this piece of property, and at the end of it we were so depressed we couldn't find anywhere big enough for a golf course. So we had the prospect of going back to the client and saying, sorry, you haven't got enough land, even though he was giving us 5,000 hectares. But anyway, we got the plan out, we looked at the topography, all the levels, all the contours, and we said, oh, there's a flattish area here. He said, oh, that's the top of the mountain. And we said, surely you don't want to go to the top of the mountain. It's maybe 1,000 meters different in elevation, and it's colder up there. But we said, no, that looks the flattest piece of ground. So the next day we drove up, we found just enough room for a golf course. It's called Primland, and it's just the most amazing piece of terrain. We got the course finished, I think, in about 2006. It was voted the best course in the US with a green fee of over $120 or something. And it was beating designers such as Jack Nicklaus and Ben Crenshaw and Tom Weisskopf and Tom Watson and people. So we were so pleased with that. But it's just a magical place. You're up in the top of the mountain and just looking down on steep drops, all over the place. So that was a special one. We've done a lot of courses in Portugal, Campo Real, near Lisbon, and Bom Sucesso, again in the days of Donald Steele and Company. But I was the lead designer on those. and again some special landscapes, some testing ones, and another wonderful piece of ground in Canada just to the north of Toronto, called Goodwood, and just what it's called a glacial moraine is the description of the terrain, but beautiful ravines and valleys and sandy, gravelly ground, so perfect for golf. So that's another special one that we've got. Yeah, I've now been working in Finland for probably 15 years, I should think. And the first time was to come to Tuusula to look at a new course project. Some lovely land next to the golf course at Tuusula. Bureaucracy and various factors meant that nothing happened in the end with that project, but we started to advise at Tuusula on the existing course, so we've redesigned some of the greens at Tuusula, so people may know those. That's, I suppose, flowered now, in Finland to the point where we've provided advice at Vuosaari, Pikala, Sarvik, and Viramäki. So we're just in the process at the moment at Viramäki of redesigning all of the greens on the classic course. It's great to be here and now to be working on a new course project is a real dream come true.